Hey everyone, I wanted to come out today in this peace talks, and I know the lighting is terrible, but I wanted to give you some of the view today. It's so quiet, so peaceful in this moment, and I was sitting out on the balcony here, and I've been doing a lot of I've been talking about how I'm learning to crochet, so I have a couple of different projects going on, and one is actually, I have two different scarves going with two different yarns to just kind of learn how the yarns work. And I'm also working on these little these little flowers that are going to become a little flower garland that I will put in our space when I do get back to my husband and get back to whatever life is to become next, which is what I was sitting here contemplating. And I thought I would just shoot this kind of impromptu peace talks because that's kind of what I want it to evolve into. And with the topic of, or the theme of this month being evolution, there's a lot of different aspects of evolution that I'm finding are coming alive. And I wanted, because the sun is so radiant today, I wanted to have it be a part. I wanted to invite it into this Peace Talks. But I was sitting out here and I was thinking about how distant I feel from anything, from anyone, from any version of myself I have ever been. And these last couple of weeks, since we kind of rode out the wave of that tsunami of energy toward, up until the December 21st, since then, it has been so quiet. My Supernal channel has been really quiet. Within me has been extremely, extremely quiet. And I've been contemplating that a lot because I feel like I don't have a lot to share, which is why I started to evolve into the idea of doing more impromptu peace talks episodes when I'm prompted. And I've been really interested in this quiet, and like literally it's been weeks now, maybe 2 weeks, and it's been a little bit uncomfortable because what I believe that has been kind of my sustenance is, getting messages in my Supernal channel and moving forward on those, and all with the intention of finding, getting to that place of peace, getting to that place of the 0 point. And in these last 2 weeks, I've become very aware that I am in that 0 point space. Again, that 0 point space, the void, where no energy is really coming in, no energy is going out as far as any, triggers, as far as any energy to be purged. And that process has become almost like an addiction. I've realized, and if there's I guess if there's an addiction to have, that's a good one, because the addiction of the feeling of movement, the feeling of energetic movement coming in, gathering new messages, purging out the old, watching, the space weather. And in these last 2 weeks, there's been zero, there hasn't been any of that, but also there has been this lull. And as I was just sitting out here, I was contemplating that, and what image flashed through my mind was this slingshot. Back in the day when I was in college, I went to West Virginia University, and the whole downtown campus, there's 2 different campuses. The downtown campus was like tucked in the mountains, really. And I mean, going to class, you were either going up a hill or you were going down a hill, and you knew when you were going down, you were going back up. So, it's funny, it's kind of reminiscent of where I am now, Saranda. Like everywhere you go, you're eventually going to have to go back up a hill. And West Virginia was the same way. And at the time, I dated a guy that was in a fraternity, and his fraternity house, was all the way at the very top of, the topmost kind of summit. And it was super cool. It was a great house to hang out with. They had a volleyball court, so they had they had really good parties. But just for chilling out, it was always really nice because we go up there to hang out on a really beautiful day, kind of like what we have here. And of course, in college, drinking beers, and you could see the whole downtown campus, and all of like Fraternity House Row was like down below this particular house. And my boyfriend had at the time, my boyfriend had a 3-man slingshot, like a water balloon launcher. So on a nice day, we would go up there and hang out, play, people play volleyball, and this slingshot would always eventually come out, and we would fill up like hundreds of balloons. And this is before the day, like now, like if you have kids, you've seen like the things you can fill up like 20 water balloons at the time. But back in my day, we didn't have that kind of technology. So we would drink beers and fill up these water balloons, and then we would just launch them. I mean, I would just mostly watch, but the guys would just launch them down on campus. And there's this huge green area called the Mountain Lair, where people would just go and hang out, and the game was to try to get the balloons to hit the mountain lair where people were laying out and sunning themselves and wreak havoc. But the funny thing was, as I was sitting on the balcony with that image came to mind. I was like, why are you all giving, like, why is my Supernal channel, why is my team guides giving me this image? And all of a sudden, the understanding came through. And before I get to the understanding, I want to talk about, that's how a lot of our guides, if you're not comfortable yet, or you're still kind of getting to know how to translate messages as they come through, they'll use things that are familiar to you. They'll use I don't know if you can hear the rooster going off. They'll use images that you're familiar with, and memories that you can bring back, and give you meaning to new messages using old symbols or previous symbols, previous memories, or whatever. So I knew that the idea of this slingshot coming to my mind was interesting. And because I was in the whole, like, what is this void about? It's like, it's not been like super uncomfortable, but I'm just kind of bored. Like, I want some movement. And so that's what I was contemplating. I'm like, okay, it's been a couple weeks and it hasn't really been exciting as far as messages coming forth. I also feel extremely distant from wanting to be on social media or doing much. Well, I guess this is the way that the sun is going across this. I don't know if that's a vapor trail. They've been spraying the hell out of the skies today, but that's an interesting. It's interesting that crosses there. Anyway, so I'm like, what is this all about? Like, why has it been so quiet? I'm ready for movement. I'm ready for. Movement's the only word I can come to. I'm ready for the next evolution, right? The next insight that's going to move me in an evolutionary way. And then this slingshot comes to mind, and all of a sudden I had the understanding, and this is what I wanted to share. I pause when I want to say like we are about to, because it's just always, we're being prepared, let me put it that way, to have a slingshot of momentum coming into our realities, into our worlds. And right before when we launch these water balloons, you pull the slingshot back, and there's always that pause, and it's like that rise in excitement, because the anticipation of letting it go and seeing where that balloon's going to land, or where that slingshot is going to land. that anticipation is very much how I'm feeling at the moment. When there's always this much silence in what I know thus far about my experience with energy and just evolving as quickly as we have been evolving, what I have come to understand in that cycle, in that rhythm, is right before, that's a vapor trail, so that's good because it's disappearing. Right before we are about to kind of slingshot forward into another kind of burst of momentum of energy in our worlds, in our experience, there's always a pause. And that's what this void is. That if you've been feeling kind of like a stillness, a quiet stillness, I have too. And it's been quite a big break after that tsunami that we kind of went through. And that tsunami from November 11th to December 21st, that time period, those 40 days or so, were really intense, with a lot of movement, of insights, of purging. It was one wave after another, and it was pretty intense there for a while. So we've been given a breather, and now the breather is about to move us into another big slingshot forward. So as I'm sitting here kind of processing this insight that came in on this beautiful day, I wanted to share this with you because this is a time to be breathing, to be taken in this time of quiet, this time of stillness, the void. Because in the void, in that place of peace, that's why we call this peace talks, because it's only in the place of peace do we create what we want. We're always creating, but if we are always constantly in fear or anxiety or worry or all of that, we're creating from that space. So the idea is for us to constantly be in a place of stillness, in a place of the void, to be in this very experience of quiet stillness at all times, which is why this great purge has been going on. This great awakening is just one cycle after another of purging to get us to where we operate from this place of stillness. But in that place, we also have to expect that there are going to be these times where the slingshot gets pulled back and there's that great anticipation, and when that thing lets go, forward momentum goes quickly. And I believe that we are being prepared for another great surge of energy that is pushing us up and out, expanding us. So as we know now, when we are pushed and expanded out quickly, it can be very intense. There's a lot of movement. So we've been given quite a big breather, which gives me the feeling that there's going to be quite a big expansion that we're expecting here. I don't like giving times. Because linear time, that's the other thing too. Time is very much kind of speeding up, meaning, like our evolution, with evolution being our theme, of the evolution of us, the evolution of our consciousness is speeding up very quickly in these slingshotted moments of time. So get prepared, be in the stillness, and I say this because I got to learn it too, but this is what's coming through. It's time for us to just simply stay where we are in the silence, because we are being pulled back now, and we are being prepared for that moment where it just kind of stops, and then we're bursted forward. We are let go, and the next wave comes, and the next wave is going to be fast. It's going fast as far as like ascending us higher into higher consciousness, expanding us even more. I also know that I'm getting more and more trickles in the last couple of days. I'm getting some pretty intense trickles of who I am evolving into. So, and again, I'm not going to really share it because it doesn't make sense entirely to me yet, and because it's very unique to me. So pay attention to what's coming through, because in this stillness, I'm getting like bursts of who I am evolving into and what my next role is here in physical, in this physical form. And it's really interesting, and yet I don't quite understand how it pieces together yet. But that is what I'm thinking. They're like, choom, choom, or like that's the water balloon. So I'm putting this. They're putting the water balloon of thought, of intention, of the next evolutionary version of me into the slingshot. And now I'm like, I want more, give me more. But they're saying, just be patient. Because when this thing finally is released, this thing meaning the intention, it is released into materialization, it's going to launch forward in a big and fast way. So that is the message for today. I'm curious what your thoughts are on this, if this resonates, because again, I'm just bringing this in. I'm still kind of processing and making sense of it, but there's something very palpable in the quietness of this energy, and it leading us into a pretty big acceleration point. And we're going into that again, just like we were for 40 days. Again, I don't know if it's going to be for another whole 40 days, but because we are in the theme of evolution, I really do think that there's something big coming for us as far as insights, materialization, manifestations, big movement forward. So we've just been given a breather, and it's almost time to get back into the game. So that is the message for today. If you have any insights, if anything comes to you with this, share in the comments, because I am curious as to what your experience has been. Like I said, I've been distant. Like I have felt very distant from, getting on even Storehouse social, because I'm just like, there's nothing that's pulling me into that. And that is a foreign place for me, because it's always very innate in me to be sharing, but it's been extremely palpable for me to be quiet and to distance myself from everything and everyone and get comfortable being in this void, being in this 0 point. And in this 0 point, my comfort has come from crocheting and just sitting out here in this beautiful weather and being quiet. Speaking of being quiet, leave it to Pepe to disturb the peace. But Pepe. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. Thanks for tuning in. Give me your thoughts. Tell me what's been going on with you all. And we'll see where this evolutionary slingshot's about to take us, because I think it's about to get pretty interesting. It feels very interesting to me. So have a good one. I'll see you on the next Peace Talks. Bye. Mwah.